In the autumn of 1950, a search party found a single boot on Glastonbury Mountain. It belonged to no one they were looking for. Glastonbury Mountain sits in the southern corner of Vermont, deep inside the Green Mountain Range. It is, by most maps, unremarkable terrain. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people vanished there. No bodies, no explanations, no patterns investigators could name. The disappearances were real. The names were real. And for decades, the mountain kept every answer it had. This is not a story about what might have happened. This is a record of what we can no longer explain away. The first victim was Mitty Rivers, 74 years old, an experienced hunting guide who knew these trails better than almost anyone alive. On November 12, 1945, Rivers led a group of 4 hunters up the mountain. On the descent he walked ahead. He was never seen again. Search teams found only a single rifle cartridge near the trail, nothing else. No sign of struggle, no sign of departure. Less than a year later, in December 1946, 18-year-old Paula Weldon disappeared on the long trail, a well-marked hiking path on the same mountain. Witnesses saw her round a bend in the trail. When they followed, seconds later, she was simply gone. The path ahead was empty and straight. Paula Weldon's disappearance triggered Vermont's first organized search and rescue unit. The state had no such agency before her. Investigators interviewed every hiker on that trail. No one saw her leave. No one saw her fall. She was there, and then she was not. Then, for 3 years, nothing. The mountain was quiet. Some believed the disappearances were coincidence. Most tried to forget them. In December 1949, an Bennington man named James Tedford boarded a bus returning from St. Albans. He was seen on the bus by fellow passengers. He never arrived. His belongings were still on the luggage rack. His bus ticket was still in his seat. But James Tedford was gone, somewhere between one stop and the next. It was around this time that a small, water-damaged journal surfaced in the archive of a Bennington historical society. No author was identified. No date of acquisition was recorded. From the journal, "I have walked this ridge 4 mornings now. The compass behaves strangely here, not broken but hesitant, as if uncertain which direction deserves to be called north." Magnetic anomalies in mountainous terrain are not unheard of, but the journal's author noted something more specific. The hesitation only occurred in one place, at one elevation. Long before any of the disappearances, tribal oral tradition held that Glastonbury Mountain was one of 4 cursed sites in the region, places where the earth itself was considered unstable, not geologically, but spiritually. The Abenaki did not avoid Meskwak out of superstition alone. Elders described it as a place where the boundary between the living world and something else had grown thin. No Abenaki settlement was ever established within a certain radius of the mountain. Archaeologists confirmed the absence. They offered no explanation for it. From the journal, I asked the old man in the village below about the ridge. He did not answer me. He looked past me, toward the tree line, and then he went inside. The journal's handwriting was analyzed by 2 independent examiners. Both estimated the entries dated somewhere between 1930 and 1945, years before the disappearances began. If accurate, someone had been documenting anomalies on Glastonbury Mountain for years, before Mitty Rivers ever walked up that trail in November 1945. In April 1950, 8-year-old Paul Jepson vanished from an open field while his mother worked nearby. She turned around. He was gone. Trained dogs tracked his scent to the edge of the woods near the mountain's lower slope. There, the trail ended. The dogs would not continue forward. From the journal, the dogs know. Whatever instinct we have bred out of ourselves, they have kept. They stop at the same place every time. They will not say why, but they know. Frida Langer disappeared just weeks after Paul Jepson in October 1950. She was experienced, fit, and hiking with a companion when she vanished near a stream crossing. Her companion searched for her immediately. The terrain was open, there was nowhere to go, and yet Frida Langer was not there. Frida Langer's case would become the only one in the Bennington series to yield any physical evidence. 7 months after she vanished, her body was found in an open area that had already been searched multiple times. The cause of death was never determined. The medical examiner's report noted only that the condition of the remains was inconsistent with the time she had been missing. An area searched thoroughly in October had yielded nothing. The same ground in May held her. No explanation was offered for why she had not been found before. From the journal, things reappear here as often as they disappear. I found my own canteen this morning on a rock where I had not left it. I had not been to that rock. The journal's author described a quality of the mountain that investigators never formally recorded, but that several search party members mentioned separately in interviews: a sense of spatial disorientation with no physical cause. One retired state trooper, interviewed in 1962, said simply that the mountain felt smaller on the inside than it looked from the outside. He could not explain what he meant. He did not try. From the journal, I have begun to mark my path with stones at every turn. This morning I found the stones arranged differently than I had left them. The sequence was reversed. 5 people, 5 years, a radius of roughly 4 miles. Investigators in 1950 drew that circle on a map and stared at it. None of them had a word for what they were looking at. The term Bennington Triangle did not exist yet. It would be coined decades later by a writer named Joseph Citro, who noticed what the investigators had quietly set aside. From the journal, I think the mountain is not indifferent to us. I think it notices. I am no longer certain whether that is a comfort or a warning. Joseph Citro first published the phrase Bennington Triangle in 1992. By then, the files had been closed for decades, and the mountain had not offered anything new. Citro was not a conspiracy theorist. He was a folklorist. What troubled him was not the individual cases, but the geometry, the way the disappearances clustered silently around a single point. From the journal, I have drawn my own map of the ridge. The distances do not agree with the official survey. Not by much, but enough to notice. The United States Geological Survey conducted 2 separate elevation surveys of Glastonbury Mountain in the 20th century. The results differed slightly but measurably from each other. Surveyors attributed the discrepancy to improved instrumentation. The journal's author had no instrumentation. He had only his feet, and he had noticed the same thing. From the journal, I have tried to leave the summit by 3 different routes. Each time, I arrive at the same stream crossing. I do not understand the geometry of this place. 2 of the 5 missing persons were last seen near water, a stream, a drainage channel. The journal's author returned to that same stream crossing again and again, as if drawn there without intention. Hydrological maps of the Glastonbury watershed show an unusual drainage pattern, water flowing in directions inconsistent with the visible slope. Geologists have noted it. None have published an explanation. From the journal, the water here does not behave as water should. It moves slowly where the grade is steep, and quickly where the ground is flat. I have watched it for an hour. I cannot account for it. The journal's final dated entry was written in October 1945, 1 month before Midi Rivers walked up that trail and did not come back down. After October 1945, the journal's dated entries stop. What follows are undated fragments, single lines, sometimes only a few words, written in a noticeably different pressure. From the journal, The trail I made yesterday is gone this morning, not overgrown, not washed out, simply absent, as if the ground declined to remember it. Experienced hikers on Glastonbury have reported trail disorientation at rates significantly higher than comparable terrain in the same region. The Vermont Hiking Authority logged the complaints but drew no formal conclusions. From the journal, I met no one on the ridge today, and yet twice I heard footsteps behind me, measured, deliberate, that stopped precisely when I stopped. None of the 5 missing persons were ever heard from again. No ransom demands, no sightings, no correspondence. They did not leave, they simply ceased to be reachable. From the journal, I have begun to wonder whether disappearing here is something that happens to a person or something a person does, slowly, without noticing, over many visits. The Bennington Historical Society has no record of who donated the journal, or when. The acquisition log for the relevant years contains a gap 3 pages removed, the binding still showing the torn stubs. From the journal, I am writing this at the stream crossing. The water is moving uphill. I have checked 3 times. I am not mistaken. I am not afraid. I think that is the strangest part. After 1950, the disappearances stopped. The mountain did not change. The trails remained. Hikers continued to pass through. Whatever the pattern had been, it closed as quietly as it had opened. From the journal, the last legible fragment. I will go up one more time. If I do not write again, it will not be because nothing happened. It will be because I finally understood, and understanding was enough. The journal was never signed. Not once, across every entry, every fragment, every marginal note, not a name, not an initial, not a mark of ownership. Archivists noted that the blank ownership page showed traces of an erased inscription, the pressure of letters once written there, now gone. The content of those letters could not be recovered. From the journal, I have stopped writing my name, not from caution. It simply began to feel unnecessary, as if the mountain already knew it, and no one else would be reading this. The 5 missing persons shared no known connection, different ages, different backgrounds, different reasons for being on the mountain. Investigators confirmed they had never met. And yet the journal's author seemed to anticipate each of them. Entries describing a hunter, a college student, a young boy, an experienced woman hiker, written, according to the dating analysis, before any of them arrived. From the journal, there will be a man who hunts here and does not return. I have not met him yet. I know this the way you know a word is coming, before you have thought of it. Mitty Rivers disappeared in November 1945. He was a hunter. The journal's entry describing him bore no date, but the ink oxidation placed it earlier than the November entries surrounding it. A forensic examiner who reviewed this finding submitted her report, and then, according to institutional records, requested reassignment to a different project. She did not elaborate. From the journal, I do not think I am predicting. I think I am remembering something that has not happened yet. The mountain makes time feel like a place you can walk through in either direction. Glastonbury Mountain sits largely uninhabited today. The town of Glastonbury itself was officially abandoned in 1937, 8 years before the disappearances began. By the time the missing persons cases opened, there was almost no one left to notice. The abandonment of Glastonbury was not dramatic. It happened the way most endings do, quietly, one family at a time, until the town simply was not there anymore. From the journal, a place that has been left by its people does not stay empty. Something else moves into that silence. I have felt it here since the first morning. Public all, and Vermont state records show that the disappearances clustered not only in space but in season. 4 of the 5 occurred between late October and early December, in the narrowing light before winter closed the mountain. From the journal, the light changes here before it changes anywhere else. By mid-afternoon, the ridge is already in shadow, as if the mountain is drawing night toward itself ahead of schedule. The Abenaki had a specific word for Glastonbury, one that does not translate cleanly into English. The closest approximation offered by linguists is something between the place that consumes and the place that completes. From the journal, I asked a man in Bennington about the mountain. He looked at me the way you look at someone who has already made a decision you cannot change. He said only, "Some places are finished with people." No federal investigation was ever opened. The cases remained under Vermont state jurisdiction, where they were eventually reclassified as inactive, a bureaucratic word that means the question was not answered, only set down. From the journal, I have decided the not knowing is not a failure. Some questions are not meant to close. They are meant to stay open, like a door that keeps the air moving through a room. The journal sits in the Bennington Historical Society today, catalogued, preserved, unattributed. Researchers may request access. Several have. None have published their findings. Glastonbury Mountain is still there. The trails are still open. The stream still crosses the path in the same place it always has, and the light still changes on the ridge before it changes anywhere else. Every year, a small number of hikers report the same thing on Glastonbury, a moment of stillness, sudden and complete, as if the mountain paused to look back. The 5 names, Rivers, Waring, Jeffson, Thetford, Stratton, appear in the official record and nowhere else. No memorials, no markers on the trail. The mountain kept them without ceremony. Partonen, without. From the journal, the very last fragment, written in a hand so light it was nearly invisible, "The stream is quiet today. The mountain is quiet. I think I have finally learned to be quiet, too." After that line, the remaining pages are blank, not torn, not water-damaged, simply empty, as if the author had run out of things that language could hold. The Bennington Triangle is not a place on any official map. It exists in the space between what was documented and what was not, between the last known position and whatever came after. What is certain? 5 people entered this terrain and did not return. What is uncertain? Everything else. The why, the how, the whether anything on that mountain was ever truly understood. The journal's author walked that ridge alone, returned to the same stream, felt the same stillness, and chose in the end to go up one more time. Glastonbury Mountain does not announce itself. It sits in the southern Vermont hills, ordinary in every measurable way, elevation, geology, weather. The measurements have never explained it. Some places resist conclusion. They remain open, not because no one looked, but because looking, in the end, was not enough. Glastonbury is one of those places. The stream is still there, the ridge is still there, and somewhere in a catalogued archive, the journal waits, unsigned, unfinished, and entirely patient.